while Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders talk about more spending and higher taxes, we could reduce the spending in Washington just by ending redundancy and waste. Every year, Senator Flake puts together the Wastebook, and this year it is very cleverly put together as a Star Wars theme, The Farce Awakens. And the senator joins us on the Newsmaker line. Senator, Merry Christmas, and thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So the farce Awakens. Whose idea was that? That's pretty clever.
Well, we always try to tie it to something topical, and Star Wars coming out in the theaters a couple of weeks from now. Everybody's focused on it. So,
well, it's a big insult to Star Wars fans. I just want you to know that Star Wars fans were insulted to be tied to the government in any way.
That's a good point.
So I'm looking at some of the bullet points of what's happening here. Are you ever, I think you're probably always surprised. Give me some of the things that surprise you when your team comes to you with, you're not going to believe this, Senator. What are some of those?
Well, a couple of years ago, Tom Coburn discovered some videotape of a study with shrimp on treadmills. And that became just, something everybody ridiculed and just, kind of the symbol for wasteful spending. Anyway, we didn't think that we would find something even, more outlandish. Monkeys on treadmills, but not monkeys just on treadmills. Monkeys in hamster balls on treadmills, and you can view it if you go to my website. These monkeys look like they don't know what's going on, and unfortunately, the researchers don't really know why they're doing it. They say that they're doing these studies to prove that they can do studies about monkeys on treadmills, but no real scientific advancement there.
And $1 million for that program.
Yeah, $1 million for that. And then, there's $1.3 million, I believe it was, to see if koozies really keep beer or other cold drinks cold.
Senator, there are a lot of people at this radio station have been doing that for free for years, so I think they should be asking for a grant.
Well, I think we've kind of studied evaporation and condensation, in other more scientific ways, but these sound like they were come up with in a frat house, these kind of studies, and they probably were. There's another one that this is $5 million over 5 years. For hipster parties, to help a hipster movement, trying to help them quit smoking. Hipsters, however they're defined, still smoke, and so the government actually paid to throw parties for these hipsters, and just kind of trying to define a hipster. It's kind of weird, but anyway, they ended up just handing out money to them to try to induce them to stop smoking and take a stand against tobacco corporations, is kind of how they put it. But it's unbelievable.
When I'm looking at the highlights from the email that was sent to us, 100 examples of wasteful federal spending amounting to more than $100 billion just in these 100 examples. So as much as, and I think I'm reading through some of these things and laughing at the nonsense, but when we're talking about the deficits we're running at, and as a government, are you making any headway with your colleagues when you show them examples of how we don't have to change anybody's lives or cut benefit programs? We could just cut some of this waste and be in better shape. Is anybody listening?
Well, yeah. People say, well, does this make a difference? I'll just point to one of them that we highlight here, the so-called paid-for patriotism, where we found out earlier this year, my office discovered a contract between the New York Jets and the New Jersey National Guard, finding out that some of the the salutes to the hometown heroes were actually paid for by the taxpayer. Those things that everybody assumes are done because the owners of the NFL just like the troops. And in some cases, I should note that with the Arizona Cardinals, they've never taken a dime from the taxpayers for any of the salutes or the activities they do for the troops. But a lot of teams did, and we found 68 contracts with money in them. And so we went to the Pentagon, and they came back and said, we're not doing anything wrong, but we're not going to do it anymore. And we actually, myself and Senator McCain, passed legislation a month ago that the president signed to block this kind of paid-for patriotism. So pointing out this stuff does help. Sometimes we can get rid of some of these programs. And should note the Bridge to Nowhere is not funded anymore. We have very few congressional earmarks. Those we did away with. But what we're looking at here are just decisions made by the agencies, federal agencies, to spend money on certain projects. And we still need a lot of oversight because there's still hundreds of billions of dollars being wasted.
Can you explain one of these to me? I'm looking through the bullet points. $104.4 million to subsidize low-income public housing for over-income families. What exactly does that mean?
Now that one, of all of these in this book, this one's one of the most pernicious. We're paying $104 million a year to people to house people who have six-figure incomes or have assets in the millions. And these people are housed in public housing in Section 8 or other federally subsidized housing. And when we ask the local housing authority why they don't just kick them out and make way for the 300,000 people who are truly low income and could use that kind of housing, they say that the people who are truly low income and living there need role models around them. So role models of how to fleece the taxpayer, I guess. And so it's just, to hear the explanations on some of these is just unbelievable. And then Duke University got upset that we pointed out that they had taken $700,000 to have basically a shrimp fight club. They pitted off, these Panamanian mantis shrimp, 34 separate contests to determine, if their size was equal to their power. And they tried to make some connection between this and helping our troops. I just failed to see it. And
I don't know if you're
war with shrimp.
I don't know if you're supposed to be talking about this because we all know the first rule of Shrimp Fight Club is don't talk about Shrimp Fight Club.
That's right. That's right. Brad Pitt's going to beat me up.
Oh my God! All right, can I shift for just a moment? First of all, I'm going to put this. I want to make sure that people can know where to find this. If they want to find this, where can they?
Just go to jeffflake.gov or flake.senate.gov.
Okay.
Sorry. And they can find these examples and view some of this video. That's view the hipster parties and how they're trying to induce hipsters to not smoke anymore. Just kind of unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Before we let you go, Senator, the House passed a bill yesterday with tougher restrictions on the travel visas for people in certain countries. What's going to happen in the Senate with that, and where do you stand on that issue?
Hey, well, myself and Senator Feinstein introduced the legislation weeks ago to do that. And the House legislation, I think, was modeled after that. So the Senate, we will pass it. And what this does is it simply says that countries with whom we have a visa waiver relationship, in other words, that it doesn't require a visa to come to the United States, and that's about 39 countries, almost all of the European countries. If you have traveled to Iraq or Syria in the last 5 years, you couldn't have the visa waiver, or you just couldn't get your visa waived. You'd have to go through the process. You could still come here, but you'd have to be vetted. And then also it requires certain information sharing with our visa waiver partners that we just don't have now. Of all the vulnerabilities that we have in terms of terrorists maybe ending up on our shores, this is right near the top, the visa waiver program, and so it's long past due, to address it. I'm glad we are.
And when will the Senate take it up and vote on it? Do you know?
Likely today.
Okay.
Either today or it could be early next week, but it may be today.
All right, Senator, we appreciate the time as always, and for putting together this book. We'll make sure people can get directed to it and see some of the videos, and have a Merry Christmas.
Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Mike.
All right, thank you. That's Senator Jeff Flake spending just a few minutes with us.